Sunday Night Football in the books. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 touchdowns better than the Miami Dolphins. Philly gets their 6th win of the seasons behind Jalen Hurts and his 300 all-purpose yards. Now, some of them did come one at a time. The tush-push, very much prevalent in this matchup, and a couple of key moments. A key player in this one also, A.J. Brown. 10 receptions, a $137. That's 125 plus in 5 consecutive contests. Back in studio with the 2-time champ Bryant McFadden here to break this one down. BMAC, high-powered offenses that do things quite differently, and we saw the advantage in this one. Philadelphia, assertive in their offensive approach. What's your big takeaway from this matchup?
Well, Jalen Hurts offensively, they woke up. The aggressive style, something that we have not seen so far this season, surface in tonight's matchup. A.J. Brown was huge, a big-time playmaker. The Dolphins secondary had no answer for A.J. Brown. And Jalen Hurts, you know, we saw some uncharacteristic turnovers in the first half, but then, of course, he kind of buckled down a little bit and became more efficient, cleaning with the football. And I think that's what we have expected to see from Jalen Hurts so far when you look at what he did a year ago. So this was, they didn't run the football as well as we've seen in weeks past, but I think the passing game, especially in the secondary, in the second half when Miami offensively started to generate some things, we saw Jalen Hurts come back with big-time answers.
Yeah, neither of these teams cracked the triple-digit mark here in the rushing game. 99 yards for the Eagles, 45 on the ground for the Dolphins. A glaring issue for Miami, but I want to stay here in Philadelphia for a second because you mentioned the name A.J. Brown. 5 straight games of 125 yards receiving or more. Only the 3rd wide receiver in history to stack up 5 consecutive weeks of that sort of production. I know it's the size, I know it's the speed, but what about this individual makes him so consistently unstoppable? Like 100 yards when I want it, I get it type unstoppable.
It's the opportunities because he's such a matchup issue for most cornerbacks that he faced. He has the body of a smaller tight end, but he has the speed of a smaller wide receiver. Not to mention the reliable hands and just his ability to run routes and create separation. I mean, he's a matchup in every matchup he goes against is usually in his favor. And then when you factor in Jalen Hurts and the relationship that they have created since trading for A.J. Brown has been well documented. You know, early in the year when we didn't see A.J. Brown really showing up in the stat sheet, it wasn't because he lost a step. It was because he wasn't getting the targets. He wasn't getting the opportunities. When you have a legit bona fide wide receiver 1, if you give him the opportunities, he's going to cash in more than he's not. And that's what we're starting to see. So you talk about getting A.J. Brown the opportunities. I think it should be a written rule within the Philadelphia Eagles offense. He should get double-digit targets every game because when he gets those targets, he can come down with these video game-like numbers. And don't forget about Devontae Smith as well. You know, he's been kind of missing a little bit, but it's been solely about the opportunities going to A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. But he has the ability to show up big time for this offense as well. So if they can get all 3 guys going in the aerial attack, good luck in trying to slow them down.
It's always worth repeating again. New OC, new DC in Philadelphia, and that's starting to groove right now. Let's get on the Miami side of this conversation. 2 big tests, 2 big losses. 28-point loss to Buffalo, 14-point loss here to Philadelphia, the defending NFC champions. What's the disconnect? I mean, are they a tier below when we're talking about top talents in the NFL, or is it just in these moments the execution is not there?
I don't want to say they're a tier below talent-wise because they have talent. What I'm starting to see with the Miami Dolphins, they're a better team at home than on the road.
Certainly.
And when you talk about having championship aspirations, Joe, the home show has to travel on the road. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, playing against good competition on the road, they're not looking the same. For whatever reason, could be a disconnect in regards to play calling or just execution. They're not the same team on the road when you compare what they do at home. And then also, too, Joe, when you look at, they're currently 5-2, right? Came into tonight's matchup 5-1. Their 5 games that they won were against teams that are below 500.
8-25 combined record of those 5 teams this season.
Yes, and that wouldn't be such an alarming issue if they took care of their business tonight. But then when you factor in not taking care of their business tonight and a lopsided win in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles, you're concerned because you beat up on the teams you're supposed to beat up on. Granted, all 5 teams, I don't think right now as we see it today, they won't make the playoffs, right? Let's count them down. You have the Broncos, the Patriots, right? The Chargers. Who else did they beat, the other 2 teams?
Taking a look at the schedule
we have it right there
now. Pats, Chargers.
The Giants, and the Panthers.
Yeah,
right?
I think you're safe there. I don't think you're talking about playoff teams across that board.
Yeah. So right now, as we see it today, the 5 wins are against non-playoff caliber teams that are all below 500 in regards to the win and loss record. So I'm concerned with that. And I'm concerned also, too, with this. If you get into postseason play and you're not at home, what Miami Dolphin team will show up?
It's an interesting question because they do have opportunities in front of them. The 2 biggest, one's in Germany. It is technically a home game, but against the Kansas City Chiefs. And they have a home opportunity to finish off the regular season against the Buffalo Bills, but there's a Dallas game in there. There's a couple other opponents. There's a couple Jets matchups in there. We know that defense is going to push back at them. There is time for this team to get where they need to get. I'm just not sure they're there right now just yet, Mac. The rushing attack, unnecessary here for Miami. We talked with Trent Green a week ago, asked, is this a team that sets up run with the pass or vice versa? Maybe we got the answer to that tonight, just how important the rushing attack is for this Miami offense. Why were they unable to move it? I mean, is this just credit to that front 7 in Philadelphia?
No question. When you talk about some of the injuries they have sustained offensively for the Miami Dolphins, it showed a big time in tonight's matchup, playing against a defensive line unit. When you talk about the depth, the brute strength that they have, it was on display from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. And I think looking at this matchup, the Philadelphia Eagles, that's the strong point of their defense, the front. You know, you talk about a guy by the name of Jalen Carter, who probably would start on most defensive line teams. He comes off the bench. That adds depth.
It's crazy.
That adds depth to what they do defensively. And also, too, for the Miami Dolphins, they are their best when the perimeter running game is involved.
Yeah.
Tonight, they had no answer running in between the tackles. They were not strong enough at the point of attack. They were losing that battle. And some of the successful running plays that we saw in the first half, because we saw none in the first half, right? They were -7 yards totality running the football. So some of the successful runs we saw in the second half was mostly them attacking the perimeter. And that kind of helped the offense out a little bit, but they're at their best. Tua Tagovailoa is at his best when the running game is involved, because guess what? When you talk about Mike McDaniels being one of the creative play callers in the National Football League, that play action with the motion involved, it's a thing of beauty when you have to respect the play action because the running game is working. But in tonight's matchup, I'm not respecting anything running-wise because it hasn't surfaced the entire ball game, and that was an Achilles heel for their offense for 4 quarters of play in tonight's matchup.
All right, let's stay with the run game here, but for this one, I need you to get about as close as to me as you can. I need you to scoot in. I need you guys as close, and we're going that way for 1 yard, B-Mac. I know you have an issue
we're talking about the tush
with the tush push, but it came up big in this game in a couple of moments.
Annoying.
I know you don't like it. Tell me why you don't like it, because from where I'm sitting, that is a personnel advantage. They have identified that they have the best center for that and the best quarterback for that, and they're running it effectively.
And they created the tush push, so clearly they're better at the tush push than any other offensive team in the National Football League. The reason why I hate it, because it's a disadvantage in favor of the offensive players, because you have a quarterback who's leaning forward in a quarterback sneak-like play scenario, but then you have 3 guys pushing him from the backside. So that's giving him an extra advantage in regards to momentum moving forward.
You know I'm going to make you do this every time they do this, so get used to doing this.
The thing about this play, some people may say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. They were 4 for 4 on 4th down opportunities.
Yep.
That last drive,
they believe in it so much.
He went for it on his
sub-30.
It's sub-30.
And they do it.
4th and 1. It was a long one, and they went for it, and they were up only 7 with over 4 minutes left to go on the clock. If I'm not mistaken, they got it. And they ran it 2 more times. And that same drive that kind of carved the clock for the rest of the way. I think it's a competitive advantage for offensive players because, as I stated, he's getting pushed. He's getting assistance, you know, from 3 strong grown men for 1 yard.
You might not like it. What I love is a coach that believes in his team and the game plan they put forth. And that is exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni have right now.
I don't like the name. I don't like the play. No.
Call me what you want. Just don't call me for more than 1 yard. The tush push is effective, and it will continue to be until they say stop. They've told us stop, Bryant McFadden. It's been a heck of a day here on CBS Sports HQ. We appreciate you.